We are live streaming. It is working. Hallelujah. Praise God. Wow. Something is going on tonight because we are in for a special treat. We are here with King Allen Manglona, and I know his share is going to help so many people tonight or this rising. If you are in Japan, oh, King Allen, we don't see you no more. We've been having some technical difficulty trying to get on Facebook Live, so we are so happy that it's working. Thank you for your patience as we navigate these technological waters tonight. But I am so honored to have my beautiful friend here to share with you all his healing journey with fruit, with fasting, the power of a strong mindset, a spiritual life, a spiritual connection to God the Most High. And he has just been blowing my mind. And we've been on very similar journeys, especially recently, with dabbling in a little bit of cooked foods here and there and realizing what a slippery slope that is. So he has agreed to speak very authentically about his experience, and I'm open to, if you have any questions for me too, we can go back and forth about how he's recommitting to this fruitarian lifestyle and how this experience has humbled him to, really see how challenging it can be to get ourselves addicted again into these habits and these foods. So I'm so happy. As soon as I saw what was going on, I was like, oh my gosh, we need to talk about this. And, this is a fluid interview. If anybody has any questions on Facebook, please drop them in the comments. He is here to share. And I'm so excited to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how you discovered this path, and what you were struggling with beforehand, how you came to this path of fruitarianism.
Thank you for having me. My name is Alan. I was born in Japan, and I was raised in the Northern Mariana Islands. It's U.S. territory, so we were the people there, kind of like Native Americans or Hawaiians. They're given American citizenship. But so I grew up in that area, very tropical area. Fruits grow everywhere. You got wild papayas, wild coconuts. But the people there, their delicacy is spam. And I grew up with a very processed food diet, and I was struggling with obesity since, I would say, 8 years old, maybe starting from 7 years old. I was the fattest kid in my class, struggling with obesity. I noticed I eat when I'm emotional, and around age 10, my father passed away, and that got me more emotional. It blew up even more. And I grew up most of my childhood as an obese kid. And around 16, 17, you're in high school, you're crushing on girls. You start working out. You start kind of working on different types of. You start thinking about diets and working out, and that's kind of where it opened me up for all kinds of diets. And that's kind of where like my journey began, right? It's from being an obese kid and really looking into diets and the science of diets. And I was just yo-yoing throughout my life. And around 2017, I would say my early 30s, I was at my heaviest. I would work out twice a day, lift weights in the morning, and I'll do martial arts training during the afternoon. Weightlifting in the morning, and then in the afternoon martial arts training. So I was very cocky. I was just eating all kinds of food. Like, yeah, I'm working out, all this, all that, but I just keep getting fatter and fatter. And during these training, I would get injured, and I also struggle with staph infection, and I started taking antibiotics, and I think that's kind of where I started really thinking like, hey, maybe I should think about my diet. I started going really deep into back into diet again, and I discovered the keto diet. Right, you're watching Joe Rogan, you're watching all these YouTube, and then what is this keto diet? And that's where it opened me up for fasting. I mean, I think Joe Rogan can be a quote unquote gatekeeper, but that thanks to him, it kind of, or thanks to shows like Joe Rogan's podcast, it opened me up for fasting. And I started exploring fasting, and really started thinking about my gut bacteria, and that's kind of where, this is around 2018. I started around 230 pounds. From fasting, I probably I went down to about 180, but it was still kind of yo-yoing because I was experimenting with all kinds of different diets, like carnivore, keto. It's when I started thinking about the vegan diet and started experimenting with that. That's when my body actually started feeling a lot better. And I was eating a lot of coconuts, and I started stop eating the junk foods, the processed vegan foods, and I went whole vegan. That's when I felt like my best, around 2018. I was like, whoa, it kind of blew my mind, the plant-based whole food diet. And around the end of 2018, I went to California with my brothers, and I fell off my vegan diet. This is like my first time in years in the continental US. So I was like, whoa, I'm in America again, home of the, the best fast food ever. And we were like in Berkeley, California, and we went on this pizza crawl. I was eating all these pizza, and I fell off the diet. And that's when I got fever, and I caught a cold, and I felt sick, end of 2018. And I have not gotten vaccinated in like 10 years. And the end of 2018 was the last time I ever had a cold or a fever. But I think, yeah, if we start feeling bad, the best detox or healing will be fasting. And I think that's why we lose our appetite. But back in our day, back when we were kids, right, our parents, when we're sick, they're like, hey, eat something. Yeah. And their parents probably were taught the same thing. And
well, it goes to show too, like, what is a cold, right? It's no coincidence that you got sick right after the pizza, right after the mucus forming, all of that. The body was automatically trying to expel it. When people think like, oh, I caught something, or it's a virus and this and that, it's really just the body trying to take out trash. And correct me if I'm wrong, but being on this fruitarian lifestyle, we just don't get sick no more, because there's no more mucus to pull out. There's no more trash to expulse, unless you're like deep into a cleanse. And sometimes we could hit a healing crisis, where like, we could start developing fever and chills and all of that, but it's just the body healing itself. I just wanted to throw that in there, that, the correlation between the eating the junk food and then you feeling sick was absolutely, connected. Yeah.
I think, because it is not natural human food, it takes quite a lot longer for our body to process all these junk modern human foods.
Yeah. And
so it takes a while to go back into doing other work like healing. So fasting, right, gives your from in theory, right, it gives your gut a break, so that it can go do other jobs like healing and detoxing and breaking down old cells and regenerating.
So after the pizza haul, you went into a fast. What kind of a fast did you do? Like, was it an intuition? Like, you felt so terrible?
Yes,
like, what happened at that moment?
I did a pizza haul. I started going downhill again. I went to the Philippines, started eating some crazy foods like, I don't know if you ever heard of balut. It's this fetus duck eggs, and these weird foods. I was like a weird food hunter, just eat. But anyway, and then in 2020 March is when I woke up one morning and I was like, yo, I'm gonna go only fruits today. And I was able to go over 2 years, 890 days on this
Wow.
fruitarian diet. It was just until just recently, this August, I was at a vegan party. I gave in to temptation, had some vegan ice cream, and I kind of fell downhill from there. Started eating these cooked foods, and my body started reacting really badly right away. What is it? Edema? Am I saying that properly?
Yes, yes.
Edema.
Edema. Yeah,
Yeah.
like swelling.
My legs started swelling at first, and then my whole body started swelling. I was looking like I said earlier, yeah, Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters. I can't button my jeans. I can't put my foot into my regular footwear, and it was very difficult to walk, and it was very difficult to urinate. I wasn't urinating as much as I usually do, and I believe there was a lot of water retention, and I was feeling a lot of swelling in the lymph area, in the groin area, and I felt like pulsating pain in my kidney area. So I'm assuming my kidneys took damage, and my lymph nodes was taking damage. But I started fasting again from there. I did like a 24-hour fast, and I started feeling a lot better, and I was peeing again. Once I started peeing, I was losing 3-4 kilograms. So I was like, oh, okay, there's a lot of water retention.
Yes.
I was eating all kinds of cooked foods, whatever cooked vegan foods Japan had to offer. So it was very addicting, and I noticed, it messes with the way I think. Mm-hmm. My dreams started changing. My hair started getting drier. My skin started getting drier, and the addiction was very powerful. Like I hate how I feel. I'm eating. Obviously, I'm just eating for pleasure. I'm just. Mm-hmm. I blew up like 16 kilograms, which is probably like 35 pounds. And it's just going downhill.
Ooh. And that all started with one meal. I just want to tell everybody, you know what I mean? Like, this is such a powerful example. And thank you so much for sharing. I know it's not easy to come out and share with the world, you know, the reality of our situation. A lot of people want to paint this picture of how fruitarianism is and raw vegan and this and that. And like, you know, you and me have that in common, that we're very transparent with our friends and our families online, where we're like, hey, this is what's going on with me. And we don't hide anything, because it's so difficult, right? The transition, let's just be real. It's taken us so many years to get to this point, and getting ourselves addicted, getting ourselves to these states, these comforts, right? These comforts come and serve a purpose. These foods are there to help us soothe ourselves emotionally. You were going through so much as a child, and I want to say my heart goes out to you for losing a father so young, you know, that I can't even imagine what that was like to lose, you know what I mean? Like your everything, your protector, your guide, like everything. So like your whole relationship with food must have gotten even more intense to like fill that void, you know. And it's really difficult to separate ourselves from that, and to start self-soothing in different ways at any age. So I commend you for, first of all, being so authentic and so honest with your journey. I think that's what gives you that much more power, right? And that's what really drew me to you when I, you know, heard what you were going through, and I was like, oh my gosh! And like our timing was almost identical. It was 3 months. Me too. It was in August. So I was thinking, like, what is going on in the stars, you know, for us to like go from completely raw vegan, fruitarian to like needing this maybe a little bit of comfort, you know, maybe what was going on emotionally. And also, I love that our bodies are so sensitive. Your body tells you what's going on. You know, when you listen to your body, and maybe other people are experiencing the edema at a maybe lesser degree, right? Because sometimes when you're so used to it, you don't really realize it. But if you're like raw fruitarian and then you're going to go to eat rice. And, you know, I was eating pastas, and like, I went back to tofu. I went back to all these things. I felt it too. I even took a picture of my foot, how big it was. Like, this is for real. The effect on the body from the salt and the cooked foods is like instantaneous, but then you're almost caught already in this cycle of, I want more. And where's my next meal going to be? And like, oh my God, this is so good. This is so tasty. And it is. But then it's like, what is the cost of that? That costs something. You know, there's always consequences to that immediate pleasure, would you say, like almost like drugs. I know we were comparing it to alcohol earlier, and even like the work of the devil, you know, like how it disconnects us from our higher spirit, from God, from doing our mission work. And I would love for you to touch on this, because for me, for sure, when I fall back into these habits, I definitely, you know, don't feel like doing interviews so much. I don't feel like working so much. I lose my motivation. I lose my this drive I have inside. And then I get back on the living foods. And I'm like, boom, like I'm back on online again. And I'm like, I'm there, I'm activated, I'm in a higher state of consciousness. Tell us a little bit about your experience and how it affected you in that way, and also what benefits you saw from this experience, how it's helped you on your journey to even recommit even deeper to your path. Maybe that's a lot of questions in one. It's like 3 questions.
Well, yeah, we'll go back to, at first, you're on the fruitarian path for so long that, I guess you get cocky, like, oh, I'll just eat a little bit of this. I'll go back to, to going back to fruits. And I think cooked foods, it's so addicting that, it kind of, you get too cocky. Yeah, you get too cocky, and it gets you. It gets you.
Do you mean like cocky, like you could get away with it? Like it's not going to lead you down another path.
It's like, hey, I'm gonna eat this. I could just fast, go back to fruits. I'm gonna detox it all out. But I think, it's so powerful that, I'm sorry.
Okay.
What you said earlier, it got me emotional when you talk about my father. And I look at all these experiences, and we look like, oh, why me? I remember when I was a child, I was like, oh, why me? Why all these experiences? Bad things are happening to me. But I look back now, it's for a learning experience. And I look back at falling from this fruitarian diet is a good learning experience, because I also cocky, thinking that, okay, I could just eat 1 or 2 rice cakes, and I'll just go back to. But no, it takes a hold of you. It's like a parasite. Maybe it updates your gut back. I don't know what's going on, but it's like it opens a window for the tempter to come and get you. Because I ultimately think we're eating for pleasure. These aren't natural human foods. This is what I believe. And then a lot of scripture, right, will tell you about the plant-based diet. And if you go all the way back to Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, it's talking about when God made man, he made the food of man. And he was talking to man, talking about, hey man, this is fruits. Inside this fruit, there's seeds. You plant these seeds, it'll grow to become a tree and bear you more fruit. This is your food. This is your meat.
Amen.
Right? And so I think, originally we're designed to be eating fruits. And if you look at it, we don't have to process fruit to enjoy it. If we have to process food, cook foods, add other ingredients to foods, then it's probably not naturally intended for us to eat. And according to what I hear, fire was given to us by Azazel, one of the fallen angels, right? The 33% that fell with Lucifer, and taught us how to make weapons and fire. But I believe, before we were eating, or in Eden, right? Yeah. Garden of Eden, we were eating fruits, and when they sinned and get kicked out, I think it was Genesis chapter 3, verse 23. It's talking about, hey, you didn't listen to me. You guys are getting kicked out of the Garden of Eden. You're gonna work the grounds. You know, you're gonna sweat, blood, tears, work the ground and make your food and eat. And that's when we start eating, you know, vegetables and grain. And I believe the closer we get to the original diet, the closer we can get to God. And we might sacrifice certain things, but so did Job. He went through all kinds of shit, but he still had that faith. And
Wow.
and yeah, the cook foods, that gets you right away. And I think big food industry, they know what they're doing. They make foods addicting, where we become slaves to it so quickly. And this was a good lesson for me, because I was so cocky, telling people, all you have to do is, cook foods first. You quit your potato chips and your beer first, and then you go, vegetarian and vegan, and then you go for, it's easy. But now that I went back into that cooked food addiction, and the more I eat, the more emotional I got. Maybe it messes with our hormones, for all that processing, all that unnecessary ingredients that we can't even pronounce. Some of us don't even read the label. I think a good rule of thumb is, if there's a label on it, usually you don't really want to, mess with. It's not natural food. And I'm over here saying like all judgy again, but I'm thinking, if you want to eat whatever food you eat whatever food, but how much amount? I was thinking about this while a recent long water fast, like how much amount should we eat? If you can find it out in nature, and if you can catch it yourself, then eat that amount. So if you're eating like 2 kilograms of rice a day, like I could, if I was the only person on earth, can I grow 2 kilograms of rice a day worth of rice? I probably can't. So I shouldn't be eating that amount. But modern society is designed, especially here in Japan, we have convenience stores everywhere. We have supermarket. We have vending machines in almost every corner. We become, it's easily to get addicted to these big industry food, and we pay tax, we pump our money, we work 8-9 hours a day. Sometimes we work on Saturday, and we're constant slaves to the system that I believe, if Satan does exist, if Lucifer does exist, has designed the system, or watching us in the system, and probably laughing like, ha ha ha, this is great, this is amazing. The more we go further away from nature, the way God intended, the closer we go, or the more happier he gets. I'm pretty sure, right? If something changes your DNA, like heroin changes your DNA, or that the thing that Bill Gates likes to, like to advertise, changes your DNA. That's I would think that's something Satan would love to see, right? If God's signatures in our blood, is in our DNA, and if we're changing that DNA, it's like we're just stomping on the gift that God gave us. I think of this body as a gift that God gave us. So if we keep disrespecting it, we're disrespecting the gift, the creator, or the good Lord, or the universe.
We are the living temple of God. Exactly what you're saying. Like respecting yourself means respecting him. Yeah.
It's like, why God, why God exists? Why, if God exists, why he letting Satan roam around earth, making us do all this shit? Look at it as a test. He wants to see how you react, how you react to these things.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I really truly believe everything that you're saying. Thank you for quoting Genesis and some passages from the Bible, because there's so much truth there. There's so much light and wisdom that, even certain religious people, they kind of want to pick and choose, right, what they believe in the Bible, but then they still want to continue to eat animals.
Genesis is like
it's written
page
right
1.
There.
It's page 1. It's like right there in page 1. But people will be like, that's the Old Testament. It's the new times now. Like, but the new times now is like, a lot of it is like industry influence. You would think, you want us further and further. Yeah. Further and further from our natural self. I would buy seedless fruits sometimes because it's a lot cheaper here in Japan. The ones with seeds are more expensive in Japan, right? I mean, sorry, it's more cheaper than the ones without seeds, because the ones without seeds is more convenient to eat, right? Which is like we're like in an upside down world. But sometimes it's labeled seedless, but you find seeds in it, and I think, oh shit, even though it was in the system, it's designed for it to not have seeds, it still had the effort to make seeds and go back to its natural self. And I think if we put effort into going back more into our natural self, I think that's all God really cares about, is that effort you put in. He knows we're born into sin. He knows we're going to give into sin sometimes, but I think ultimately God's mercy will beat any man's sin. But don't test him. Matthew chapter 4, right? Don't Jesus talk about Satan was like, hey, why don't you do if you're really the son of God, if God really exists, he'll help you here. Just go ahead and jump. And God's like, Jesus is like, I know God's got my back, but I don't test him like that. Also in Matthew chapter 4, Jesus was fasting for 40 days. And the tempter, I'm assuming Satan or Lucifer, came and told him, hey, if you're really God's son, you could turn that rock into bread and eat it. I know you're hungry. And Jesus said, it's written, bread alone is not enough to sustain man. It's the breath of God, the spirit of God. It's what keeps us alive. And so, yeah, the more faith you have, the easier it is to fast and then reset your body, whatever that spiritual parasite that opens you up when you eat these fast foods or take these drugs or drink alcohol, right? They call it some alcohol, spirit. Recently in Tagalog, which is a Filipino language, salt is asin. They call it asin. So ASIN. If you spread, you think asin. Oh shit.
Wow.
So it's in the Bhagavad Gita, Hindu scripture, is talking about, if you put too much salt, or if you try to put too much flavor into your food, it puts you into a different type of mode. And you have the foods that put you in the mode of goodness, these sattvic foods, and it's pretty much talking about foods in its natural form. So fruit in its natural form, you don't have to put nothing on it. You don't have to cook it. You can just enjoy it the way it is. And our eyes can see the color change. And since in Genesis chapter 1 verse 29, they talk about seeds, right? So you want to eat as much fruits with seeds and plant that seeds, because if you don't plant the seeds, you're pretty much taking from nature and not giving back. You take and you want to give back in nature. Mark, I believe chapter 10 verse 45 is talking about, hey, we're not just here to serve ourselves, we're here to serve others. So if we plant the seeds of the fruit we eat, we're not just giving ourselves mouth pleasure, we're also helping the environment, right? Because supposedly it takes our carbon dioxide, plants takes our carbon dioxide, and we get it gives us oxygen. That's that exchange we have. So the plants, probably the fruit trees that you grow probably has best fruits designed for you, because you have that relationship. You give it your urine, maybe it reads your DNA, and it's like, oh, Aline's missing this, Aline's missing that. I think it was in the book of Essene, they're talking about if you garden with your barefooted, right? Whatever you're detoxing off of your foot, dirt picks up. It goes in the dirt, and the plant picks it up and knows, oh shit, owner that's giving me water and fertilizer, missing this, missing that. But
whoa, you are blowing my mind right now.
I think we lose that connection with nature more and more the more modern we become. And we're further and further and further away from nature. And that's something, if the devil or the Satan or Lucifer exists, is something he enjoys watching. And looking at the world now, man, it's just like, wow. I wouldn't be surprised if another reset comes along. So I try to stay as clean as possible, try to practice Ahimsa, which is nonviolence, and that's why I choose the fruit. At first it was for, myself. It's like, oh, I'm gonna lose weight, I'm gonna look good. But now it's all about, life, not only animal life, but it's about plant life. and serving, right? By planting all these seeds. I have almost every fruit I eat, I keep the seeds. And you imagine each seed is life. So I was eating rice, not too long ago. I was eating rice. So each little rice was once life. Yeah. And you just eating it away for your pleasure. Yeah. And I didn't like that anymore. And I was hating it, but then the addictiveness I underestimated was kind of just grab a hold of you, and you get deeper and deeper and deeper. And I think that fall, right? It was around October. It was around October, November. That fall is what made you realize that, hey, I need to, get back up. And need to get back.
Yes. And thank God we did, because we could have stayed down for long. Some people, they go down and they stay for months and years, just like starting to smoke cigarettes. Yeah. But like that inner strength, that God within told you, like, get out, get out, like you need to move your way out of it, like move yourself out of it. And that's so powerful and strong. And probably the devil was trying to bring us down in some kind of way, to like, they knew, he knew that this was so powerful, that like your work here is so important for those who are trying to up level, trying to change their life, who need to see inspiration, who need to see the light, who need to see like their way out of the darkness. And yeah, the devil doesn't like that, he like definitely tries to attack us who are, different, and who are here to teach, and who are here to share in these deep ways. We have a question here, Queen Alva, if you don't mind me asking. She's asking, how did you stay consistent on fruit in the beginning? Because we all know that it could be difficult, right, in transitioning. I will say, like, especially the emotional component of it, right? Being on fruit, you're just so raw, you feel everything. How was it for you? How did you stay consistent?
It was I was lucky, or I was very fortunate, and I'm very grateful that I was living in the Northern Mariana Islands, which was, tropical, and there's just fruits everywhere. I was just picking fruits everywhere. I go to my family property, they got fruits growing, they don't eat it. So I'm just stuffing my face with fruits, and it's tropical, so it's seasonal, it's all year long, and it was great for me. And I understand now that I'm in Japan, like, it can be super expensive just trying to eat fruit, but just imagine if it was cheap, it would probably not be good for you. It's probably expensive for a it can be pricey for a reason, but then the price you pay when you eat junk food is a lot more than the price you pay for fruit. And also the faith. I think more like, okay, I'm not gonna worry about money. I'm just gonna put the money on fruit and I'm gonna eat it. It's gonna be okay, because money ultimately is wants. A lot of these things are ultimately wants. Don't worry about the thing. A lot of in scripture will mention in a lot of places that don't worry about wants, because God will give you what you need. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the now. And so it can be a sacrifice. It's also, socially too. It's like a lot. I still hanging out with a lot of my friends. But then you kind of know like which who are really friends and who are really not, and you get all these criticism from your family, your friends, everything. But keep the faith if you believe it in what you're doing. I felt good right away. I felt actually I saw in the mirror, I was just slimming down super quick. I went through the detox syndrome the first time I went fruitarian. For like the first 4 days, it was really bad. I was really weak. It was hard to get up from bed to take my dog out for a walk. But just keep the faith. And at day 7, I felt so good that I started working out, started posting all these workouts, talking about, yo, this is the fruit diet. What's up? You know what I mean? Who thought I was gonna die? And then, day 30 came along. My poop stopped stinking. The mucoid plaque came out like tar for me around day 90. And I was keeping my poop for fertilizer for my plants. Around day 60, I did an experiment with tomatoes. I ate a bunch of tomatoes. I put my poop in dirt and the tomatoes grew beautifully. And I was thinking maybe this is how they were doing it back in Eden,
For sure.
this is how we give back to the plants that gave us the energy, which is fruits. They don't want us to eat really their stems or their roots, right? Their leaves, their green leaves. They have a job. They're doing photosynthesis. But then the fruits they give to us. But in exchange, we plant their seeds. But yeah, back to the question. It was easy. It can be a sacrifice. You might have to sacrifice a lot of wants, but I believe it's worth it in the end. It's worth it, and it really changed me as a person. I started off with the science of it, and then eventually I just I put the science. I still go back to science to see what they say sometimes, but I feel like a lot of science nowadays, modern science information, is easily manipulated, corrupted by big industry. So I see what science is saying, and I also see what other scriptures are saying, not just the Bible, but what the Quran is saying, and what the Bhagavad Gita, and even the Japanese scriptures, what they're saying about diet. And I believe people who are worried about B12, the more faith you have, first of all, you don't really worry about that kind of stuff. But I believe if it's coming from bacteria, and if cows can get it from eating grass, if we're out, and if you go, maybe once or twice a year, go out in nature, eat some, fruits out in nature, we could probably get back to B12, right? Supposedly B12 stays in your body for like 2 years, 2-3 years. So if you're out in nature doing what we're originally designed to be doing, then we wouldn't really be worried about B12. And people, it's like, hey, about protein, I want to put on some muscle, and look, I got that self-esteem issues. How am I going to look good on Instagram? It's ultimately aesthetics. These are all wants, and the more heavier you get, it's more work for your heart. And then what you can put for, unless you're like a professional lineman for your football team, or a rugby player or a sumo wrestler, you don't really need that much weight for what you have. It's ultimately inner issues we have to work on, instead of building all these physical.
And a lot of it is inflammation. A lot of it is like creating lactic acid too in the body, and it's not really necessarily healthy to have a high protein, high fat diet at all. Right. We see them and they're like, it looks unnatural. I think
a lot of it
is good, but
we're affected by propaganda, right? Yeah. That we're like, oh, we need, what you talking about? We need protein, the science. But I don't think we need as much protein as the narrative says we do.
No, the mainstream there's protein in fruits. There's protein in veggies and leafy greens. There's protein in everything we eat. Yeah. If
you eat a kiwi, right? Sometimes you crunch on the seed. I'm pretty sure there's protein and fats in that seeds. But lately, when I eat golden kiwis, I scoop the middle and I swallow it, so that when I poop, the seeds come out uncrunched. Nice. And so I try to think about what fruits as well. Seasonal fruits is probably the most recommended, because the nature knows at what point of time during the year is what we need. And that's why in summer, when it's really super hot, it's like melon, melon season, peach season, where it's all juicy. And then in Japan, the wintertime, it's citrus season, because I'm thinking citrus lasts long on the shelf. And during winters, our ancestors most likely fasted or ate these citruses that won't give us scurvy or whatnot. And so people are afraid of fasting, but if you think about it, our ancestors fasted and they also binged. But what they binged on was probably a lot more natural than what I was binging on a couple months ago. I was binging on all these processed foods. It's not natural. If we binge on something not natural, we're going to become more unnatural. If we are what we eat, the more unnatural foods we eat, the more unnatural state we become. The more natural food we eat, the more natural state we become. And I think our bodies are like sensors, right? We have that 5 basic senses. I think we have a lot more than 5. However, our sensors are dirty from pollution and processed junk foods and chicken nuggets and whatever. I don't even know if they use real chicken or McDonald's burger, these fast food soy meat. I don't even know what they put in there. If Bill Gates is putting money into it, you probably should look into it. But anyway, so our sensors get dirty, and I think detoxing from fasting and these juicy fruits will help clear body, clear our senses. We sense a lot more. Maybe we sense the presence of the creator more, maybe that way, as opposed to eating all these junk foods and going furthering away from our natural state, which is something, like I said, if Satan exists, something he loved to see.
I love everything you're saying. This is so powerful, and a true return to nature is a return to God. You know, it is.
Yes.
It does please him. I love that you said that, because I think the most amazing miracles happen in our life when we are following the natural way. This is universal law. Like, nobody can escape it. You know, it's not like, oh, you know, I can, you know, play around with the sins, or I could play around with these rules and they won't apply to me. You know, like, they will catch up at some point or another, in different ways. So it takes a lot of surrender. It takes a lot of faith to, you know, I love what you said about the wants. It's not always what we want, but at the end of the day, we get what we need, you know, and he does bless us with miracles. And especially in fasting, I love to touch on this and also the detox phase. I think it's really important for people to understand the tearing down of the house before rebuilding the new one, right? Like, you lost a lot of weight when you were going through your detox, and perhaps even through fasting. I'd love to hear about your 8-day water fast you just did, because that is like next level connection to God. That is next level connection to yourself. So tell us a little bit about first the detox, like when people say like, oh, I'm going to lose so much weight, and how was that for you? Like, the rebuilding stage, right? Because you have been rebuilding up, and you can build natural lean muscles afterwards. So tell us a little bit about that, especially men. I find women, we don't have so much trouble getting skinny, you know, but I mean, sometimes, let me not like put it as a general rule, but men, you know, generally don't like to lose too much weight.
And I notice, usually women, when they're already been vegan for a while and they want to go fruitarian, they're kind of afraid because they're already slim, or usually, right? Unless you're a junk food vegan, but usually they're slim and they're afraid they have that fear of losing too much weight. But I believe that's the process. I started around 180 and I was just going down I was 180 around March, and then 130 around June. And it just kept going down, and I was down to like 119, where it's just, you know, it's just skin and bones. But the energy was there. I remember it was like 119 pounds and climbing a mountain with my cousin, and the initial thought is like, hey, we're gonna go hiking, right? And it was like a 90-degree climb. Is one of those where you're like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like, this is like my first time hiking with this guy, and it's taking me but it was fine. You have that energy. You realize that we've been depending on food for energy, that we become less efficient in getting energy from elsewhere, like music and nature and sound and air and breath and good company, good energy. If we are energy, then other people are energy. We can share energy, right? If you're in a room with people you love and you're having a great old time, and some chick or some dude that you guys really don't really like, that really always negative energy, just changes the energy of the room, right? I believe you start picking up this energy, right? Your sensors get a lot better. And it's kind of the same idea of keto. We've been depending on carbs. Modern people are depending on processed carbs so much that they can't burn fat anymore because they're so less efficient at it. And so they start introducing just a low carb diet and a lot of fat. They start going to ketosis and breaking down their fat, get more fat adapted. And then this is kind of the same here. We've been depending on food so much that our body kind of automatically, hey, bring some food in so we can use it as energy. But we have body fat stored for a reason, and we underestimate how much body fat we have and how much energy we have and how much energy we can actually get from elsewhere. And I think sound is one of the biggest thing. And I look at words like it's like a spell, right? That's why we learn how to spell words. It's like spells. One word can really mess up your day. One word can really make someone's day. So I try to be as positive as possible, and that's also a service to the world. Being positive, being the light is service to the world. You're not just serving yourself, you're serving the rest. And that's, I believe, Mark chapter 10, verse 45. And that's a funny story about that. I have a clock in my room that stopped at 10:45, and recently a clock in my kitchen stopped at 10:45. So I'm like, okay, Bible verse 10:45, and then that's the first thing that came out. I might be reading it wrong or incorrectly, but that's how I kind of depict what Mark chapter 10:45.
Well, the word is very alive, so I believe your interpretation is yours, and it's so beautiful. I've actually been calling in more Bible study, more studying the Word of God. I started too during my water fast last year. I actually God gifted me a beautiful Bible. I was in Austin, and I just knew I had to go out and get a Bible, right? And I had never read the Bible, even though I grew up Christian and all that. But I felt, I had a friend who was encouraging me. He goes, now that you're fasting, now that you're going deep, like you believe in God, you have a connection with God, like start reading the scriptures, And so anyway, I found this Bible in the middle of, it was a huge, what do you call it? It was a huge thrift store, right? But it was like bins and bins full of stuff and just like overfilling with things, and Salvation Army, one of those. And I was just like, I know it's here. God, just bring me to the Bible. Like, I know I'm going to find it. And then I've been studying with a sister of mine too. And there's so much beauty in it. There's so much, it's really alive, right? And the more we read it, we reread it, even if it's like a little passage, and we're just like, what does this mean to you? And wow, yesterday we were reading this passage about, I can't remember exactly which one, but it was where they bring the man with palsy on top of the roof because they couldn't get through the crowds, and they bring him down from the roof, like they bring him down from the roof. Like, even that is like, how did they even manage that? And it just represented this whole lifestyle, that we're not going to wait in line in this crowd to go see Jesus. We're going in from our own way. We're going in. And it also kind of represented to me the breaking down of our house, the breaking down of our own limitations, of our own roof. Like, we could break our roof in order to get to God, to get to Jesus. And it's just so beautiful, like that interpretation of it. Like, it's not so much of a physical, it's not just physical, it's so much bigger than that. So yeah, the word is beautiful. And I love that you're, quoting the Bible, and that means a lot to me. And to all of us, I think it is important to bring God into this, because this is a spiritual journey, even if people are here to lose weight, even people are here to overcome their addictions. Like, little did I know this was going to be in my journey back to God, and,
Right.
and he is speaking through you. He is speaking through earth angels. I mean, I had no idea how this interview was going to go. And I'm just like, so touched by your commitment to him. This is the work. This is why I do what I do. This is why you do what you do. And beyond anything else, this is like, once you've surrendered, once you've gone to those depths of yourself and you've found yourself with him and nothing else matters, then it's like this whole existence starts to shift. And once that connection is made, it can never go away. Even if we sway off the path, I did want to mention this too, even if we do come off a little bit, even if we do, go into the drugs again, even if we do, like, I never felt God leave me. Once I made that connection, once I knew I was saved for life, but it's about surrendering. Like, he wants to see us get down on our knees. He wants to see us cry those tears. Like, there is something to be said about really going to the depths. And he's just like, I'm right there with you, and I will bless you, because you're ready to heal. You're ready to go to those uncomfortable places that not many people are ready to go to, like being on fruit all day. I'm telling you, like, it is hard. It is really hard. And I commend you for doing that. I commend you for doing your fasting and for never giving up, because it's incredible. And you're showing us all what's possible. And even me, I still have that programming of like, well, how is he surviving on fruit? Like, the first time I heard that was with Eli Martyr a few years ago. And I was like, this guy's crazy, like, I was already vegan, but that's how disconnected I was from myself.
Yes.
But I felt it in my soul, like, this is the truth. Like, this is it. This is the way to go. And however long it takes me, I'm going to get there. And it's really beautiful that, we're here showing people the reality of it. Look, what how many days were you on all fruit, you know, before you started eating a little bit of cooked? I was like,
890 days.
let's call it
890
900 days. That's like
900 days.
incredible, you know. And then you dabble a little bit, but then you come back, you know, just never give up. Wherever you're at in your journey, come back, ask for support, reach out, you know, follow King Allen on his Facebook, watch his journey, you know, come and join our community too. We have a support community, Kings and Queens of Raw, because I really feel like coming together as a community is so important. Like you said, we feed off the love, right? We feed off each other. And our community has like literally saved my life. You know, it's a place where we can feel safe to come and share if we're feeling sad, we're feeling like we're having cravings. We host royal gatherings similar to this, but with our whole community sharing. So like really just open up about your feelings. The more you share, the more you open up, I feel the less too you need to like stuff it down with any food. It's like it's out in the open, and it's not like living in the shadows and the darkness. You're like bringing light to it, and therefore the food doesn't serve as much as a numbing agent as it used to, but becoming aware of, you know, our true feelings and sitting with them and being uncomfortable. And you know, King Bobby said this yesterday. He goes, stop lying to yourself. He was kind of like, he really helped me see. He's like, if you're eating certain foods, if you're eating certain foods that don't serve you, you're lying to yourself, because you're telling yourself you can't do it when you can do it, you know? Like I've seen people get on juice cleanses that never thought they could do one day, and they're now 200 days plus. It's completely transformed their life. So it's in the mind, and we can do incredible things. Like I thought I could never go a day without smoking, drinking, doing drugs, all these things. Like I literally thought my life was going to end if this was taken away from me. And now I'm like, oh my God, like I do not want to go back to that life of slavery, but we got to go through the withdrawals. We got to go through the pain, and we make it on the other side, and it's so much better. It's so great. And you're like the living example of that.
You gotta make it through the pain.
You gotta make
and
it
then
through.
you're like reborn
Yeah.
and again. And it's the same with salt. When I first started fasting, the long water fast, I would put salt in the water so that replenish the electrolytes that we sweat out when we do workouts. And so a lot of people who water fast, they drink too much water, they deplete their electrolytes. And so they've had those headaches and feel like crap the next day. But then I depended too much on salt. And when I gave up salt for weeks, I started having these leg cramps from these lack of salt. And so I go back to salt, right? But then eventually I say, you know what, I'm gonna go through the pain. I'm gonna go through this pain, and these leg cramps disappear. And it's the same with the detox period. Yeah, you're gonna go through some pain, right? I mean, you put your body through a lot for, you know, decades. Decades of drugs. I was an alcoholic, eating all this. Yeah. So what, you know, 2 weeks, what's 2 weeks? You know, you've been hitting yourself for 20 years. So if you go through that, you know, it's not something that we're not gonna, God won't give us a test that we can't handle, right? If we were God, we won't give our kids tests that they can't handle.
Yeah.
Right. The harder the test, it should be a blessing, right? Because he knows that you can handle it.
Yes.
So yeah, I lost a lot of weight during this detox, and I thought, oh shit, you know, I'm down to 119 pounds. I'm just going to be skin and bones, and this might be it. I'll probably never build again. And one day I was riding my bicycle, and I was thinking, like, you know what, fuck aesthetics, you know, fuck the cosmetics, fuck how I look, you know, it's how I feel. Yeah. And that's when my weight started getting back again. So March 2020, I started eating the fruitarian diet, started losing all kinds of weight. And then October 2020, when I was down, right, around fall, we're down, like, fuck, man, I'm gonna lose all this weight, and I look like skin and bones and shit. You know what I mean? But you know, I was in a way, I was kind of happy because I save a lot of money just going to like the like the big kids section and get cheaper price on clothing. But anyway, so yeah, you at first you have that fear, but then you remember, you know, don't limit yourself with fear. That's kind of a lot of what's modern society is going on right now. We limit ourselves. We can't do it. We can't do that 2-day fast. I can't even go 16 hours. I can't just eat fruits all day. You know, you didn't even try it. right? And then when we Google it, right, we Google fruitarian diet, right? Google sponsored by all kinds of industry, right?
So much fear. Yeah.
The first 5 searches, right, and then you got these fact checkers, Snopes, and all. But anyway, yeah, right. The first couple of information, right, it's gonna tell you, hey, it's probably not recommended, and then you got more fear. But I think a lot of it is destiny, and I think a lot of our journey is already pre-written, right? Our script is already pre-written, so just have faith that everything's gonna be all right, and do what you feel is right. And you don't, like you said, everybody got their path. Sometimes we fall off, and I always give an example of Mount Fuji. There's a lot of paths. There's beginner path, the long path, the short path. Everybody has a path, but in the end, the destination's around the same. We go up, we go see the sunrise, we climb back down. High five. But everybody have their own path. So if like, hey, that guy was able to do fruitarian, real quick off the bat, from junk food, I should be able to do your pace, because everybody has their own journey. Everybody's got their journey already written. Just have faith and enjoy your journey at your own pace. Yeah. Exactly. And all these things will come to you. Like back in the day, yeah, like I was baptized Catholic when I was a baby, and I made fun of, I was an atheist since I was like 10 when I lost my father, right? It was all about science. And then the fruit diet really changed me. Now I'm looking at, now I'm usually looking into scripture, and a lot of the things I watch change. A lot of my, the people you interact with, right? If we exchange energy, we become similar to those. So a lot of people I hang out with change, and I feel blessed that although all these, I was an alcoholic, we tear down our house, but in the end, everything was all right. Everything happened for a reason, and it's a good learning experience, and we should be blessed that we get these learning experiences. Yes. Yeah.
And whenever we could turn, like you're saying, things from this is happening to me to this is happening for me. Once you start to see that, beautiful, then everything starts to change. Like all the pain, all of the struggles, is there to help you to get stronger and surrender deeper, and also connect with others in these ways, like healers, natural born, nurturers, like they have the most difficult path, and it's like we have to trust too that our soul chose this for whatever reason, to incarnate in these families, to incarnate in these experiences, to really strengthen us and also help us to develop our faith, to develop like the true meaning of faith, not anybody else's definition of it. Maybe up until you were 10, it was like fed into you like what it is that you are to believe, but then you maybe took some time apart, but he never left you, and now you came back on your own terms, with your own kind of definition of what does it mean to be spiritual, like with a true connection, not just because somebody tells you need to have faith, but like because you truly feel it, maybe because you've come like so close to death, or you've come to these like, to these places. And oftentimes that's where we need to get to make a change. Fortunately and unfortunately, humans are very stubborn. Like we're so like we have to kind of get to that crossroad to be like, holy shit, like if I don't do this, I'm gonna die. And maybe before, death would have been a wish, like when we're drinking, when we're eating this way, I think we are suicidal. I think we are like trying to kind of kill ourselves in a way.
It's pretty much slow suicide. It's just that we don't have the guts to just get off or something. It's pretty much slow. It's not good for you, then it's harming your body, then it's taking away from your life. And Genesis chapter 6 verse 3, God gave us about 120 years to realize this, and I'm a believer that we may be able to go above 120, but 120 is around the time God's like, yo, okay, we just finished doing the big flood. Noah was living a long time, but now it's like, yo, okay, maybe we can't have too much of these these people living that long. Maybe we'll give it up to 120 years. I believe it's Genesis chapter 6 verse 3. 120 years to figure it out, or to awaken.
Well, I definitely think you're going to make it further than that.
I hope I don't want to be cocky, but yeah, I'm blessed if I do. And but if God says it's time for you to go, it doesn't matter if you're 30 or right. I feel that He has a reason.
Something interesting in the Bible too that somebody made me realize is that yes, God allowed us to eat meat in certain parts of the Bible, but
right.
Let me know your interpretation of this. But like before that, we were living like, I don't know if you've read Man's Higher Consciousness, but in there they talk about like us living like 900 years and more. And then in the Bible at some point, God said, you can eat meat, but He shortened our lifespan too.
Yes.
So there is like a direct correlation between like, okay, you could do this in times of survival if you have no fruit, if you have no this, but watch out, like you're not going to live as long. So it's the same thing today. We're seeing, heart problems, diabetes, like all these different health conditions, arthritis, that, once people come off the meat, boom, they just add on like 20, 30, 50 years to their life more. So
I believe the Jainism cosmology, and also Genesis Genesis chapter 9 verse 3 is after the flood. God says you may eat animals. He said you may. He said you don't have to, right? As opposed to the fruits, he said this is your food. And I believe after flood, there's no more fruits, right? Because you just wiped it out with the flood, but you don't have to. You may eat meat. And then Leviticus chapter 11 talks about what meat is clean and what meat is unclean. And they talk about swine. The Bible talks about swine, I believe, out of all the mammals that modern human eats, is very close to human, right? Supposedly, according to science, pigs get the same disease humans get, and humans get the same disease pigs get. And I had a science teacher, instead of dissecting frogs, we dissected fetal pigs, because he said, according to him, it's closer to human. So we learn more, right? You look at pigs' eyes, they're closer to our eyes than, I think we're a lot closer related to, it's kind of like we're eating our brothers.
It's basically cannibalism. Yes, I always felt that.
And they're very smart. I had pigs as pets, and they'll come swimming with me. So yeah, in chapter 9, verse 3, I believe, is when God said, hey, okay, after the flood, you may eat meat. And then that's when also, chapter 6, verse 3 is the, hey, 120 years. And then Jain cosmology is saying the same thing. One era back, there people were living a lot longer, they're a lot taller, and we got a lot after the flood, our lifespan kind of went down. And we started eating the animals, although he didn't says we have to, he says we may, but these are the clean ones and these are the unclean ones. And it's talking about like foods like shellfish. I think like lobsters, they clean the ocean, they have a job, so don't eat that, but you could eat the ones with fins and scales and stuff like that. Like you could eat the ones like you could eat chickens or something like that, flesh of the chicken, but not vultures, because vultures do the cleaning of dead body. It's in Leviticus and the book of Deuteronomy.
But I just go back to Genesis 1:29.
Yes.
I have given you every herb-bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth. Like he's telling us what he has given us, and this shall be for meat, right? Like
shall be for meat.
Tree yielding fruit.
Our original diet before we started sinning. And Lucifer fell with 1/3 of the angels, 33%. 33 is when Jesus supposedly passed away. 33, the number of ranks of the highest ranking of the Freemason. 33 is, I see that number quite a lot. But anyway, so yes, I believe that's the original diet before we got kicked out of Garden of Eden, or Adam and Eve got kicked out of Garden of Eden. Book of Daniel speaks of Daniel being in a palace, and then they're feeding him the king's food, right? The party foods. But Daniel says, no, just give me water and I believe vegetables, just vegetables. So raw vegetables. And they're like, no, everybody was, I guess this was the first experiment, right? Everybody was afraid, like, what, you're gonna die, you're gonna, but Daniel's like, hey, give me, for 10 days, me and my men here, we're going to eat vegetables and water, and you guys eat whatever you want to eat in the palace food. And in 10 days, they sold it Daniel and his buddies, just eating simple, natural foods. we're a lot in better condition than the folks drinking their wine and eating their swine, you know. So I believe the closer, we try to put effort into going closer to our original diet, the more closer we can be to the creator or to ourselves.
Well, he is so
to
happy.
Our natural self.
And
I
when
believe
we have, yes.
I believe the humans have super potential. We have superpowers. It's just that we're limited by all these things, pollution and trauma and all these things. But when we get ourselves clean and back to our natural state, I believe we could get our natural potential back. And I think we're very super powerful. And I believe if there are powers that be that tries to control us, and like farm animals, like if there is Satan, I think he will try to limit us as much as possible so that we can continue slave loop in this modern society system. This is all obviously just how I feel, but you know, yes. I can't.
And not only do we liberate ourselves physically, but we start to liberate ourselves too in so many different ways. We start to see the truth, right? Like it's no coincidence why I was talking about this too yesterday, like that a lot of us in our community, you know, when they came out with these mandates, when they came out with like, oh, you got to wear the mask, you got to get, you know, all these things, we were like, oh, hell no. Like it was just natural for us to already not want those things in us, whereas other people were like, yes, please give it to me, like this is what's going to keep me safe. And I was just like, wow, there's a real divide. And I'm not to say like, you know, unnecessarily all vegans agree with this or all people that eat a certain way didn't agree, but there was definitely a clear consensus majority with people who were like mostly fruit that we have the innate ability to heal ourselves. And like even the truth about the system, like when we start seeing, you know, how the fast food restaurants are like all connected to big pharma and what their mission is to just keep us sick and make money. And it's just like you look around and you're like, how can people not see this, you know, like how is this not making sense to some, you know? But it really, I feel like a veil was lifted from my perceptions when I started changing my diet. You know, I started seeing things in a whole new way, like seeing deeper into people too, and like seeing their true intentions and like feeling energies, dreaming. You were talking about dreaming, like it's so important to be in touch with our intuition, to have our pineal gland be decalcified. It's like it's calcified by their design, right? The fluoride in the water, the chemicals in the food, that's a whole other story, how they're poisoning us even, you know, in those ways. But again, I think we can, through our mindset, just like kind of energetically clear it. But the ultimate is to grow our own food, to plant our own seeds, to get back to the land and like, you know, return to the land, like get together in
connect with nature.
Figure it out, like buy a piece of land somewhere. Just like we need to return to nature, and this will create the biggest shift ever away from their control, from their power, and back into our hands. And that's really when we're going to start seeing, and I think it's happening. I think a lot of people are waking up, taking our kids out of school, you know, getting land in the Caribbean and all over the world where we can grow our food year round. I mean, I'm in Canada right now, or like I'm in an apartment building and I'm just like, you know, craving to go back to Belize, and we're planting fruit trees out there, and like you're planting fruit trees. It's just so inspiring. Like everybody out there needs to be collecting seeds and planting them, getting seed banks going. I think there's nothing more important than how are we going to continue on for generations to come. This is not just about us. This is about like, how are we going to leave this planet, you know, better than how we found it. And it's like, it's so important for all our generations after to do this work right here, right now, and to make the changes. As hard as it is, we need to make the changes, because if not us, then who? Right? And we all make a difference too. Like one individual can make a difference, and we just need to be consistent, keep continuing. And then your vibe attracts your tribe, you know, and when the time is right, we connect and we create beautiful projects like this, beautiful synergy that is literally like moving mountains in so many ways. And I know new doors will open out from this, new opportunities will come from this for both of us, for just being in full service and being brave. I think it takes a lot of courage to be on this path and
Right.
say yes to doing an interview, say yes to fasting. Like, you got to have that level of courage inside, that like lion's determination to get through. And then you feel so proud at the end. You feel like, I feel like a natural high coming from these interviews. I get a natural high from a day of fasting, and it's like a deeper sense of like true satisfaction, and like I'm doing God's work, and that's like the best feeling ever. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the golden age. And you hear people say, hey, your gut is like your second brain. You ever hear that? So
yes.
and we should listen to our gut, but if our gut is not clean, we should really listen to it. If we get like our intestines and squeeze it, it looks just like a brain, right? The as above, so below. I think that gut brain is very important, and we should take care of it. And the more we take care of it, we have that second brain working together with this brain up here, and we probably be able to sense these information that come to us that give us these fears. That, hey, maybe this, my gut feeling saying, hey, this is kind of sounds kind of phony, or sounds kind of stupid, or why is people believing into this? You're wearing the mask. Nowadays I think like, hey, oh, God gave us a face, why put a mask on top of it? It's kind of that's disrespect. That's disrespect. But please, the more we get our gut clean, I think the more we can listen to our gut, and the more we can sense what's really up, and what's really down. And I think we're living in an upside down world right now. But I am looking forward to the golden age. I feel like a lot of folks are waking up to it, and I'm able to connect with folks like you, Aline, and I'm super grateful that it, like I said earlier, money and internet and social media can be a bad thing. You can get your porn, you can do bad things with money, but it can also be a good tool that we can use against, we're using his tools against himself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm super grateful to connect and share. And if anybody wants to connect with me, please feel free to message me, add me. I'm on Instagram as well. If you want to do like one-on-one talks, I can answer questions to the best of my knowledge and my feelings. I want to help folks. I just want to help folks. I feel that information that can help mankind should be free. Because you want mankind to be better. Why are we keeping information from ourselves? Like, if you have a medicine, why put a patent on it? So because other people's gonna make money off of it. I thought you're making a medicine to help people, not to make money off of folks. But ultimately, the world is not like that. It seems like it's run by capitalism, the big industry, which I feel like it's a system created by Satan. The more you go into, the more you get focus on money, the more you it opens you up for the tempter to come get you. Same with cooked foods, same with alcohol, same with drugs, right? You drink alcohol, it kind of opens you up and you black out. That's probably when they take over. I can't prove any of this, but that's how I feel. And the more we give into temptation for once, just whatever temptation for once comes, just imagine that's a door opening for these entities to come in. That's how I feel. I try my best to not give into temptation, and it's also very easier said than done. I ate this one cooked food and I fell down a hole. It was easy as that too.
I feel
it's
you.
Easy as that. It'll get you as easy as that. But we all fall. God, I believe the Creator or you will always forgive yourself. Just forgive yourself and keep going and enjoy everything. Although these bad things or good things, unfortunate things happens for a reason, and enjoy life. Accept it and enjoy life. I guess.
It's definitely a humbling experience. It's always like another level of a humbling experience. But I really feel like that will only. It
was a great reminder, right?
Yes.
To why I chose this raw lifestyle in the first place, because it's not just physical, not just how it was affecting me physically, but mentally and spiritually. It was kind of fucking me up. It was messing me up. And the dreams, I've been having a lot of more perverted dreams, and I try to practice semen retention. I feel semen is life energy, and we shouldn't just be blasting it out like that. If if it's life, Adam, right? God took part of his rib to make Eve. So I feel like it takes a part of us to make a child as well. So we shouldn't just be blasting it like, obviously if Satan exists, pornography would be free, and I'll have all the young kids access to it with their smartphone. They can blast all they want. But yeah, I try to look at everything as life, whatever has life, try to treat it treat it with respect. And so we start getting closer to more fruits. We might sacrifice a lot. However, I feel in the end, it's worth it. It's worth it.
I knew it wasn't just the fruit. There's something about a man who practices semen retention. There's a certain glow, there's a certain aura, there's an energy that comes from that self-control, I feel. And that could be a whole other topic. I would love to, dive deep into that with you, because obviously I don't physically know anything about it, but I would love to offer you the opportunity to talk some more about that.
I have a theory on why we have more lust. It also in the Bhagavad Gita talks about we eat all these cooked foods, and we go into the mode of passion or lust. But in the book of The Return to the Brain of Eden, I think one of the producers was Terrence McKenna's brother. It's talking about these kids that were living in the wild eating fruits. They stayed kids a lot longer than kids living in the city eating all these foods that mess with their hormones. And I'm thinking, just like cannabis plants, I grow cannabis plants, and if they're in trouble, they start to flower quickly so that they can produce seeds and continue their generation. And I think when we eat these foods as a young age, these hormones affecting foods, we think we're in trouble, so we get mature quicker. And now we have these junior high girls looking like 18, 19-year-olds, right, at an early age with all these hormones. This is my theory, but the kids who ate fruits and stayed in the wild longer, they stayed kids longer, they had fun longer, and then they didn't have to have that pressure of I need to breed because we're in trouble. But I think if our body knows that, hey, we're in trouble, we need to breed, so my lust for women just skyrockets, and like, oh my god, oh my god, she's gorgeous, she's I think because our body's like, oh shit, we're in trouble, we might have to pass down our seeds, so we might have to continue. And this is like our animal instinct, or in our genetics to if we're in trouble, we try to shoot it as quick. So
wow. So basically, like, if we calm our nervous system down, if we
the more natural
get out of the fight or flight mode, then we're less kind of animalistic, and we could be more conscious of our sexual energy.
And instead of chasing women, I could work on art, and then they'll chase my art, but they'll never. I'm kidding. But, you could work on things that you love, and you won't get too distracted by other stuff. And I think that's what's great. Also, your sleep hours definitely goes down when you fast and do a fruitarian diet. And people who have trouble sleeping and want to sleep, such as myself, when I have work on consistent schedules. So in order to match that, I would eat lots of avocados, and that would put me to sleep. However, I put salt on my avocados, and that's a little bit of sin. I use avocados as a comfort food, so I could go to sleep and match my schedule. So that's a tip. I wouldn't depend too much on avocados, because at one point I got addicted to avocados, and I was eating 15 a day. Now, for the past, I didn't eat any avocados yesterday. I just had like 9 persimmons, and I was fine. But yeah, as you depend on that for comfort, it's just gonna like grab a hold of you. So I try not to eat too much as comfort. If it does become a comfort, I suggest we fast and get it out of our system, and then reset and try again. And don't give up once you eat cooked foods for 3 months. Don't give up there. Keep falling down. I think we should put some effort into trying to get back up, and that's all the creator cares about, is to put some effort.
I have one more question
Sure.
before we wrap up. This
Sorry
has
for
been
just keep
so,
laughing.
no, it's so powerful. No, this is so amazing. It's so amazing. I just need to go put my daughter to sleep soon. But I wanted to know, for those who are watching, like, I'm just curious to know, what would you eat in a typical day? Like, would you eat like do you eat a lot of fruit, or do you try to keep it minimal, or like do you just allow yourself to feast on fruit? Do you do mono fruiting? How would a day look like for you?
So a day I'll wake up in the morning, take my cold shower, take my dog out for a walk. He's actually crying because he wants to go out for another walk. And around noon, I think it was a book in the scene talking about, hey, we should eat with the sun. And so around noon is around the time I want to eat. So around 16 hours fasted. Usually I try to shoot for, and within the 8 hours, I eat as much fruit as possible. And ideally you want a mono fruit, something juicy at first. And then if you can't sleep at night, that's when you eat your heavier fruit, like your bananas and your avocados. But how I do it right now, it's persimmon season. When I break my fast with something juicy with like persimmons or apples, and just one by one. You know, you don't have to cut if you like juice it a lot, or if you cut a lot all at one time, then yeah, you end up eating a lot of it. But if you take your time slowly, one by one, you get more satisfied. I've done a juice fast. I forget how many days, but actually a citrus only diet. And some days I'll juice and some days I'll eat the citrus.
Yeah.
On days I juice, I'll end up eating or using like 30 oranges to juice.
Yeah.
But when I eat it, I'll eat only like 10, I'll be satisfied. So I think the more we're connected with the fruit and less we process it, the more satisfied we get. So yeah, yes, I'll eat as much persimmons until I feel satisfied. You could binge on fruit. I think we're designed to binge on fruit. Our ancestors, before wintertime comes, they're out in the forest looking for food, and they see a fruit tree with lots of ripe fruit. They're not gonna be like, I'm just gonna eat one, you know, because I'm just gonna mix this one with some kale. And no, they didn't do that. They eat as much as they wanted, and they probably pick they know by color that which one that will last a little longer while I carry this while I'm walking. Yeah. You know, so we're blessed with the color to see, okay, we can pick this one. The seeds are still good, but it's not fully ripe, but it'll be ripe by tomorrow. And by the time I make it to my kid's house or something like, you know, in the kid's cave or whatever, you know. So yeah, we binge. It's okay to binge. I think we're designed to fast during, you know, famines and long winters. We're designed to be able to fast, and we're designed to be able to binge. Instead, what we're binging on is a lot of times not the best thing to binge on. It's unnatural. Perfect. So yeah, binge on your fruits. As long as the more organic it is, the better. Conventional fruit is okay. I try not to eat too much seedless fruits, but they're okay because even the fruits try to go back to their natural form and try to make some seeds. Sometimes I find seeds. And then organic, and then the best is the one that you grow yourself. And then what's the best fertilizer for the fruit tree is whatever animal that eats the fruit of that tree makes the best fertilizer for that tree. So that's, yeah, it's just the circle. It's just keep going, you know. And then the trees that live for years is probably the best. Like persimmons live for like 5 years, 7, longer than that. Their roots are a lot deeper. So if there's B12 down deep, the roots will dig down deep and grab it for you. If modern dirt nowadays have no more B12 on the top because it's over farming, then you gotta go deeper, and the roots will do that for you. Just trust nature and trust that it knows what you need. Just give back by, you know, planting its seeds or giving it water sometimes, maybe talk to it. So, you know, it breathes your carbon dioxide supposedly. So I guess singing to it, talking to it, connect with it, give it some of it, you know, walk around barefoot next to it, you know, let it read your DNA. I don't know how it works, but I think there's a connection beyond our modern human comprehension between human and nature. And we forget it because, you know, big society, you know, we like that iPhone, and I like to put perfume and use laundry detergent on my polyester clothing. You know, we become that. However, you know, it may be hard to live as a fruitarian in modern society, but I think as long as you put effort, God would send you the help that you need maybe not the one that you want, but send you what you need, and trust it. And so the more you trust it, the more faith you have, and you can enjoy your day, every moment of it, even though bad things happen. Like I lost my wallet the other day, and I was like, you know what? It's all good. It's all material wants. And then I got a letter, and thank goodness, I'm so grateful that I live in Japan, because I got a letter from the cops saying they found your wallet and the money is still in there. Someone,
Wow.
didn't even take. Because if that was in America, I'm pretty sure the money would have been taken out and my wallet in the trash, and I would have never seen my wallet again.
That's
But
some good karma right
but
there.
I have faith. I have faith in America. I'm sorry, America. I love you. I love you, America. Yeah. And I had so much fun.
Probably because
Yeah.
of all the good that you've been putting out too, you know what I mean? Like when you do good, good comes back to you,
Yes.
when you spread positive seeds and you spread positive knowledge. Like I have learned so much from you today. I am so beyond grateful for everything that you have shared, and I am taking that with me and carrying that through, and I'm going to share this with others too, and it's all about paying it forward and passing it on. And those acts of kindness, that individual that sent back your money, like they're going to get rewarded too for doing the right thing. It's like, do the right thing even when no one's looking. That's the thing. Like we all have a consciousness. We all know what's right, what's wrong. Let's tap into that and trust ourselves to know what's right and what's wrong. Like let's govern ourselves. We don't need no government to tell us what to do. What's a rule? Like we operate under God's law, and that is do no harm, period. And we could get some more into that, because I know you have some insight on.
I have a lot about being watched, especially like if we imagine this world like the Truman Show, and they're watching, and give them a great show. Don't give them a boring show. They probably want to see a lot of drama. So if you give a lot of drama, you might have to come back to do another season. In your life, you have to reincarnate to do another season. So, yeah. And then God, right? Genesis. This is gonna go a little flat earthy, but put a firmament on top of the earth, separate the waters from the waters. And if that is so, then we're sitting in like a level plane of like a pupil of like an eyeball, right? Shaped like an eyeball, constantly being watched. So yeah, give him a great show. Try to live life like this is a video game, and you're the main character, and you want to live. If this is a simulation, if this is the Matrix, let's try to get out of it together. Don't make it a hard work for us to come back. Oh man, to reincarnate into that bullshit world again. It wasn't fun. But if we make Earth more heavenly, even if we don't pass the test now and reincarnate, it'll be like, hey, it was fun anyway. I'm gonna go back and enjoy it, and maybe I'll pass the test next time.
There's gonna be more fruit. Hopefully, there's more fruit around everywhere.
Oh man, I hope so. And if the time comes, there may be a time for another reset, and that time comes, just have faith and practice. If we do practice fasting, the more faith we have that we could survive it or go through the reset, if that really happens. But I'm hoping all for good. Everything happens for the good, and so enjoy everything, every moment. Yeah. That's my message pretty much. Yeah.
Wow.
And, enjoy the fruit.
This has been wow.
You don't have to put Tabasco on fruit. You don't have
to. Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to cook it. It knows what
Exactly.
you get it. You have fruits almost every season, depending on where you're at. And people will be like, hey, I live, way north up. I don't think, or like in the super cold. I don't think we originated from a super cold.
We're not meant to live there. We're not meant to live in these climates.
Right.
My bones hurt.
We end up adapting to it, but I think our natural form is a more frugivore lifestyle, and the other energy is coming from the universe, right? The universe, like God, the creator.
Well, so even fasting, if you look at fasting, in this environment where we have even just heating, like I have a hard time dry fasting here, whereas I could dry fast way easier in the tropics because it's more humid, you know what I mean? Like just the air itself. Here I have a much harder time doing it just because of the nature of and the quality of the fruit too. When we are fruit feasting, it's not the same when it has to travel so long, to get here. It definitely loses its nutrition. But like in Belize, if I just eat like a couple mangoes, it's just like it feels so much more nourishing and, full
off
of
the
life
tree.
force. Yeah.
You want to eat as much, right, like off the tree as natural state as possible, as export, as opposed to those exported fruits that are in these boxes for a long time, not getting the sun. Lately, I tried to hit my fruits with the sun. Right? They say the fruits is like sun. We're eating sunlight, so I try to. Also, a lot of sun gazing. I started working on as I started this fruitarian diet. So a lot of things I started. It opened a door. Definitely, the fasting opened doors up for many things, and I'm very grateful. Very grateful.
Well, we are so
And
grateful for you.
and I hope a lot of folks, experience this. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's life changing. If it doesn't work for you, you can always go back to doing what you're doing. But it's the first 1 week, I believe, is usually the most difficult. But the fruits is so powerful that the detox will be so super quick. That if you have a caffeine addiction, or if you're a marijuana addiction, it's also the fasting really helps with the decrease of the addiction and cravings.
Would you suggest a fasting, like a water fast, before jumping into fruitarianism, or more fruit?
I would think I would say try the fruitarian diet, right? Because if you're like eating junk food and then you go straight to fasting, it's kind of difficult. So yeah, try to eat clean first, go towards the fruitarian diet as you're throwing in the fasts. As you get comfortable with eating less of what the food pyramid suggests given to us in the 70s, right, or something like that, the food pyramid. I was a sucker to that. I was a sucker to a lot of things that my public school taught me, and the science of a lot of things. But as we experiment, I think we start to know ourselves more. Don't depend on doctors to tell you what's wrong with you when you should know yourself best. And I think fasting will help you know yourself best, because you have nothing else kind of getting in your way, distracting you from knowing you. Right? We eat big pizza meal with a bunch of ingredients on it. Our body takes certain enzymes, process the bread, to process the cheese, and it gets tired because we use so much energy. And now we don't have energy to really know ourselves. That's kind of how I feel. Like we kind of get further and further from ourselves, our natural selves.
Exactly. There's even a doctor, I'm just pulling up his name because I forgot his last name, but this doctor, if anybody wants to look at the science of fasting that I've been following, his name is Pradeep Jamnadas. And he has been full on, like, he's a traditional doctor, but he has been helping his patients heal with fasting, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, everybody needs to hear this doctor, because it's unbelievable, that he is practicing this way. But there is deep science around, the powers of fasting. It's in all the cultures.
You would think it'll be more mainstream information, right? People would be pushing, hey, fast if you feel sick. But I feel also it's kind of recent for people. In 2016, the Nobel Prize for Medicine was awarded to a doctor or a scientist who was proven that fasting healed you through the process of autophagy. And that was 2016, Nobel Prize for Medicine, Dr. Osumi, a Japanese man.
I never heard about this.
Right? And of course, if CNN, or like if your news channel is sponsored by Coca-Cola and KFC and Pfizer and Moderna, they're all the same company, Coca-Cola. But they're not. If we keep promoting fasting, then we ain't gonna make no money off of our viewers. Look at Super Bowl, right? Brought to you by McDonald's or Taco Bell or something like Budweiser. They never brought to you by Florida Oranges or anything like that,
right? Exactly. If they really cared about our health, that would be all over. Yeah.
Right. They'll push it as much as they push the vaccine if they really did care about our health. But unfortunately, we are not living in that world right now. But if we get our guts clean, we can really feel our gut feeling, and I feel that we can separate the bullshit and the real shit.
Imagine how much more loving our world would be too, how much we would like relate
Oh
to each
man,
other in whole other ways. This is the
it'll just
way,
be
you know, like love
it'll
on
just be
earth.
like
A big love
loving
fest.
world where we just run around working on our art, and once in a while when we're hungry, hey, there's a tree and there's a fruit, and pick a fruit and just run around happily. Yeah, I think it'll be great. I think our children can live, our grandkids and our next generation will be living longer and longer and longer, happier lives instead of going through trauma in this the system of this modern society. And
Well, we got to keep
yeah,
that
it
vision strong. That's how it happens.
starts with us,
It
right?
starts in the mind, it starts in the heart, and it's gonna happen. It's happening. And I mean, I feel it right now, you know, I feel it right now. I feel it when I come together with others that are on this path, you know, that was at the Texas Fruit Festival, and I came together with my sister, Queen Alba, who's watching us right now, and a few of us that we were just like this explosion of joy and like, you know, this excitement, like we were like children again, because we're like, oh my gosh, we understand each other, and you know, it doesn't feel it's just so natural, right? And it felt so beautiful to be with one another. So I definitely believe that all of us are going to gather one day and you know, be together in real life. And I also see us all placed around the world for very specific reasons, to like anchor in this future of love, this future vibration that we have seen and felt since we were little, you know, when we felt very different, we are very different. And it's like, how do we, you know, we were definitely chosen by God for that reason, you know, in each of our respective areas. So it's really amazing that we can connect all the way, you know, from Japan to Canada. And
That's
you know, to
beautiful.
everybody who's watching us today, thank you so much for being here with us, for doing the work, for diving deep. It was a love bubble. Yeah, she says it was a love bubble. It was how I imagined the Garden of Eden. That's right.
Yes. Yeah, let's bring it back. Bring back
Yes,
the Garden of Eden.
yes.
And then yeah, the tempter, even if we bring back the Garden of Eden, the tempter can slither around, and we just
Mhm.
have faith that we don't
Yeah.
we don't I think yeah, we just don't give in to temptation. But it's obviously easier said than done, right?
Mhm.
And even if it comes back, and I feel like the ages goes like this. But no matter what period we come back, whatever timeline we come back, yeah, I think we should appreciate every moment of it. Yeah. But yeah, let's bring back Garden of Eden, man. I don't have to go to supermarkets, and I don't have to work 9 to 5 just to afford my fruits here in Japan.
No.
It'll be great. We get to all share our art, share our love,
Yeah.
and we don't have to worry about paying
Yes.
the system. And
That's
I'm
right.
looking forward to that golden age.
Well, we welcome you if you want to come to Belize. We have about 400 fruit trees planted already.
Whoa,
We've been
whoa!
going
I could
intense, going and yeah. I
I could
felt.
send you some. I wonder Belize. I got a bunch of persimmon seeds that I can send.
Oh
If
yeah.
you give me your address, I'll try to send it. But we'll see if it grows in Belize. I saw the
Yeah.
Texas Fruit Festival pictures, and I was like, man, I want to go to. I want to
Yes.
go. That would be so
You
fun.
should come. And then there's also the Miami Fruit Festival. Not Miami, it's in Miami, but it's the Woodstock Fruit Festival. And I think that's like more of a week-long event. If you could come to that, that would be like really awesome too. Because there's like all different kinds of activities, and like we you know, we spend nights there, so like we really get to connect. Queen Star was there last year. She was watching us right now. But yeah, it looked like so much fun. So like these events are also like anchoring in heaven on earth. This is what it's all about. Yeah,
Gives me hope. Gives us hope. Yeah, and it's great. And
that's in the
yeah,
springtime.
it can be okay. I You ever hear of folks taking in like bee pollen as a superfood? You ever heard of
I have
bee
heard of
pollen?
it.
Sometimes put.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, springtime. We don't even have to eat the bee pollen. We just go out in nature and breathe when the flowers bloom. We just breathe that good air, and we get that bee pollen, whatever nutrients or energy that bee pollen is supposed to be giving these superfood folks. And yeah, I think it's very important to go out in nature and get the energy out from nature instead of microwavable popcorn chicken from the frozen food section.
The one
But
powder we should be sniffing.
yeah, right.
Just
The
go out in nature and take it
the
all
pollen.
in. That makes a lot of sense. Well, you were very wise and very intuitive, and I hope we can do this again and go deeper into some of the topics that you brought up,
Yes,
because I would love
this is
to
really fun.
explore more. Yes, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much. It's been my greatest honor. And if anybody wants to reach out to you, please do follow him on Instagram and on Facebook, and reach out if you have any questions. I have been so inspired, and I've learned a lot from this amazing talk. Thank you so much,
Thank you
brother.
so much. I'm happy to hear it.
I hope you have a great day, and
You too.
your doggy will appreciate you taking him for a walk now. It's like, come on.
You have a wonderful night. And
You
I hope
too.
you have great dreams.
Thank you. Thank you. I will. All right. We'll see you soon. Bye. Bye, everyone. Take care.